Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel motherfucking Wingfield.
Daniel motherfucking Wingfield. And today we are talking episodes 3 and 4 of the other day you presented me this nice little like anagram or something of the show. Foz?
Foz, yeah. F-A-W-S.
Foz. Today we're covering yes, episodes 3 and 4
technically, if you use the full title, it would be Foz. Because it's the, but come on. We're fuck the V, you know what I mean?
Right.
The.
I will say this before I go into our plug. I'm really disappointed. It's our own fault. I'm disappointed that Joel's not here with us this episode to talk episode 3 and 4. We were kind of, we're making a lot of content for you guys. And so we kind of, sometimes things get lost in the weeds. And one of those was reaching out to him in a timely manner, but we will have him on for the final 2 episode recap.
He'll bookend it.
He'll bookend it, which is also good as well. Sure. Grammar. And if you haven't already, I implore you to go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/2for1studios. There, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you update on all future cool content of 2for1 Studios. We got some cool shit happening. Check it out. And if you're on podcast service, just make that jump and show your love and support. Daniel, we're talking Falcon Winter Soldier. Episode 3, which is Power Broker, and episode 4, which is The Whole World is Watching. And even behind me is playing an episode just because don't want it to be super boring back there. Let's kind of
get into this. To be fair, your 75-inch TV looks really small from this angle.
It does. It
looks like a 30-inch TV. And
it does.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of throwing me off.
I got a cat joining me. So let's talk about, I implore you all guests to come and see it and see how big it actually is. Episode 3.
Maybe some of the guests. We'll do a little pre-screening.
That's
maybe.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
Power Broker, episode 3. You know what's interesting is, I think it's interesting, is like the whole time I was watching it, I was just being, which is amazing. This never happens. I was just being disappointed. And I've been dying to rewatch it. I'm kind of waiting till the last few episodes so I can watch the whole thing over again collectively. But as I was watching it, I think I was just kind of sinking lower and lower into my seat. And I still enjoy it. I still think it's fun and entertaining and stuff. But I think that there are certain things that got lost in the weeds for me. How did you feel about the episode?
I mean, I wasn't harsh on as harsh on it, I think, as you. There's definitely some moments that feel a little unintentionally funny, or a little like, okay, it was an interesting choice.
Some things have went viral, yes.
And some things that just feel a little bit like maybe transparent in what we're going. I don't know. There was just some very obvious moments happened in it. There was nothing that was, for me, very surprising, I think, in the episode. And I think even just narrative style, there were some things that didn't quite fit. I mean, Zemo's breakout, I thought, felt out of place in this show, and felt like I was in an Ocean's movie for about 5 minutes, but not in a way that felt good for the show or organic to the show. It felt like they were trying to cover a lot of narrative ground in as quick as possible. So anyway, I think it was still, overall, there's some things that with the characters that I really enjoyed. I don't hate Zemo in this. I know some other people had some issues with Zemo, but I think overall I was generally entertained, and that's like, most of what I'm looking for. It definitely did not have the gravitas or the kind of the socio or the social conflicts that were present in the first 2, and it really, for me, like with Kyle Walker, is like, that's the heart of the show, is the Captain America dichotomy. Who is Captain America? What is Captain America? What does it mean to be Captain America? And this episode had like none of it. And so I think that's, to me, the biggest weakness of the episode is that it was doing a lot of plot things that obviously weren't necessary, but it kind of missed out on some of the more integral parts of Foz to me.
Yeah, no, I think you're hitting the head on the nail here. And again, I want to emphasize, I enjoy it. Like, I think it's fun. For the majority of it, it looks like a movie still. We're still getting good performances. I just think that episode 1, 2, and then we'll kind of talk about this. Episode 4, they had those 3 episodes have this through line of exactly what you're talking about, is the Captain America dichotomy of who deserves the shield, or why is the shield necessary, and the balance of power, and who should wield that power, and the dangers of that power. That's the interesting stuff. Episode 3 really feels like, okay, we know where we want it to end up. What are all the things and characters we can bring in that are referenced in the series, but what are all the things that we can do to push characters into a specific area? And also, I think but the way they do it is not in an organic way that 1 and 2 set up, and even 4 pays off with. It feels like, the example, you're right, the prison break. So you're telling, and I watched Civil War like 2 nights ago because I got excited about episode 4. I had to go back and watch Civil War. So it shows you I did like 4 a lot. But you're saying Zemo, these are plot things that are connected to the thing. Zemo's in this high security facility, but then you can break him out in less than 2 minutes, off camera also.
Right.
Stuff like that. Stuff like you have Sharon Carter come back. And granted, we have 2 episodes left. There's maybe more to it. On the surface level, it's like here's a character that it seems like they wrote a character, and then they're like, hey, you know what we could do? We could plug the character of Sharon Carter into this character and have a cameo. Some people think she's the power broker, which we can. I really hope not. I do too. And the thing is, it seems like it's a possibility, because then why would you bring in that character unless she's going to come back and pay off into a significant way?
I feel like there's got to be some kind of reveal with her left, and if there's not, it would be even more pointless to her. It would just be like, what? Why is she here at all? And I think the most boring version of that is she's the power broker. I think, because then it's just going to raise so many like questions of how she did things, and like what I don't know. It just is like she was there when the guy that made the new super soldier serum was shot and killed, right? She was like protecting them so they could be with him. And I'm like, well, that wouldn't make a lot of sense if she was the power broker and that person was like her most valued asset. It also wouldn't make sense for me that she's trying to create more super soldiers. Like, what has transpired since the last time we saw her that would change that? I mean, I guess like one part of it is I think she like has a moment where she like rolls her eyes about Steve, or like she makes some mention to like the last time she saw. I can't remember. Maybe I'm making this up in my head, but I know that
she mentions that.
The kiss.
There was I think there was a mention about the kiss, but I think specifically there was a mention like, well, after you guys did your superhero stuff, I was left to do the fallout, and I find that hard to believe. Like to me, that's another thing I don't think is like, you're telling me that with all, like, you're telling me all the Avengers and all those people, like Captain America specifically, who bailing you out, you're telling me that they didn't think about you at all. Like,
and Nick Cage hasn't gotten in contact with
Nick Cage, baby. Nick Fury.
Nick Fury hasn't gotten in contact. Apparently he's in the space station with the Krill right now. Is that what we think?
But at this point, though, he's still running he's still doing government organization things in Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is when people come.
Well,
back.
But he wasn't the Krill. That was the Krill version of him.
Yeah, but it's still implied he has an organization that's working for him, whether it's him or not. I mean,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
But it also feels like he's kind of outside of all. Like, it's kind of weird that we haven't seen him at all.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that, like, Nick. Okay. Yes, it is Talos and someone else playing Maria Hill and Nick Fury, but he has soldiers working underneath him, and you know what I'm saying? The implication is that he has a secret shield, basically, or maybe not so secret. He's doing government things. He's going to places, international places, and doing government like things. So you can say it's not him, but it's still operating as it is if him. It's just an
Like he's
extension of him,
sending, yeah.
technically. So the idea then is you're telling me that he or anyone else in the Avengers is not. Anyway, to me, it doesn't work out for me. It doesn't check out. You're saying,
No, well, and I'm like, is she talking about like post blip, like post everyone coming back? Because
I think it sounds like
there
there
were Avengers all around during the 5 years. I mean, like that's what Endgame's about, is them still trying to like help the world stay in one piece.
Yeah,
right? I mean that's the point of the movie. And
some move on, but we don't. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're saying that if she not blipped, you're saying in 5 years she doesn't go find Steve. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. I mean, they were operating out of Avengers HQ still. They weren't hard to find.
And I'm sure that
they're in a phone book.
If we're gonna logic it, you're telling me that I would assume that the less amount of people there are, people like Sharon are going to go look for the people that she knows, especially if she's a spy, to connect with them to fix the world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Or to manage the world. Anyway, it just doesn't track with me.
Here's the only thing that I can, and it's not great, but it's like, maybe she's pissed that Steve Rogers like kissed her and then noped back and ended up with her grandma again.
She doesn't know that though. She doesn't know that.
How would she not know that? If he went back in time and spent his life with her grandmother, wouldn't that now be in the history books? I mean, like, wouldn't she? You know what I mean? Like, that's her past now.
Well, technically, here's a few different things. Let me drop some things for you.
Okay.
One is that if he went back and, we don't know what people knew that Steve did. So in the time, here's the time travel thing is the tricky part. Yeah. I like to believe what the writers say. The writers say that Steve went back in time. He was always Peggy's husband, X, Y, and Z. He was secretly her husband. He didn't reveal himself, or not reveal himself, but he was there throughout the timeline. The Russo brothers say, which to their credit, they do kind of explain it in Endgame, is that he went back to an alternate past, right?
Right.
And he lived out his life with Peggy in an alternate timeline, not the Peggy that we know, not Prime Peggy. And what he had to do was he didn't travel back to the future at the end of Endgame. He had to jump back to our reality, our universe.
And how did he do that?
He
didn't have the stones anymore.
Nobody.
He'd already put them all back.
He don't need the stones. He needs the time travel stuff. And you can. And the idea was that he could get more Pym particles.
But that's true. That's true.
That's the idea. Because he has the suit.
But that also feels like it disagrees with like, when the what's her, the ancient one with Hulk, when he's speaking with her, and she's like, "This is the timeline. Here's if you remove the timeline splits, but if you put them back, it's all back to normal timeline." So it's all confusing.
No. I mean, all he does then is you got to look at this. He goes back in time. I know we're getting off topic here. He goes back in time. And if he doesn't return the stone yet, he can live his life with Peggy in an alternate universe. As soon as he returns the stones, that universe ceased to exist, and then he can jump back to whatever reality he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so he lived his life with a Peggy that no longer exists.
Theoretically, yeah.
That's pretty.
Assuming he returned the stones. Hey, I like the idea that he went back to the Prime timeline. He was always with Peggy. You know, it even to me makes Winter Soldier a key moment there when she recognizes him in the bed. She's like, not necessarily, oh, you're back from the war. It's, why are you so young? We just lived a life together. To me, that's the interesting interpretation.
No, that would be cool. Anyway,
but again, the directors say one thing, and the writers say another. But also, another thing that doesn't check out is like Zemo getting the mask in his thing. He's a Baron, right? We know he's a Baron from the comics. But we know in Civil War, which I just watched, that he is a military soldier, maybe special forces or special operations in or around Sokovia, or he was in Sokovia or something.
I thought he was like a Sokovian Baron.
In the movie, they show him like as a soldier. He don't look like a spy, or he looks like an actual soldier in Civil War, and he implies that after Avengers, the dust settled, his grandfather, he found him and the kids and everything. The idea and the way he does travel a lot of different places, but he doesn't seem like he has resources. It seems like he's a man on a mission, a normal man on a mission.
I would a little bit. I mean, like he has disguises. He has like pretty elaborate like setups for
Sure.
like when people find him or when they find a body, or like he had it all designed so they would realize who he was right when he wanted them to.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
That tracks. I think it's just kind of it's a different. I think it's just
And
a
he had to have hired a team to do the bombing at the embassy too. Like it wasn't him that put the bomb there. Well, I guess it was. He was in the Winter Soldier disguise.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I guess I just feel like it seems like I agree with you. It doesn't seem like in this one he's like an evil, almost like an anti-hero or evil Bruce Wayne.
You're
almost,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he's
that
got all the
does feel
toys all of a
different.
sudden.
Yeah.
He's got the
And
toys.
what
You see his butler. You see like
yeah. Right. What car was the mask in? Or was it like his?
It was an old. Yeah. It seems like he has a garage with like 18 different cars.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He opens up one of them and his mask is
okay.
there.
Yeah.
It's like, why is your mask in pristine condition in the back of a seat of a vehicle, and why are you grabbing it? You know, what's the? Granted, I'm glad we got it. I mean, I want to see Baron Zemo from the comics, but I'm also like, I want it to make. I mean,
he's
sense.
already in the suit or the overcoat appropriate.
Yeah, which makes sense because he's cold. Who gives a fuck? But why are you grabbing that? In the fight, he puts it on to just fight people that already know. He's
shoot
fucking.
Them.
He
imagines himself as a superhero, I guess, or some kind of anti-hero or crusader.
Maybe that would be interesting if they talk about that. But he puts the mask on to fight, but people in the whole fucking world knows who he is.
Well,
he does.
Yeah, but to be fair, he has stayed true to his original mission, which is no more super soldiers.
You're right.
No more superheroes.
You're right.
And that has been consistent. Like when he puts he kills the guy that remade the serum, just straight up pops him in the head. You know what I mean? And then that's when he puts the mask on and does some shooting.
Right.
And then, of course, we haven't gotten to it yet, but the next episode with him stomping on the vials that are left.
Right.
That right there, I do feel like he's still Zemo in his mission. Though I do agree some of the way they have portrayed the character feels a little inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean the dancing. I mean, am I
yeah,
in
the
for
dancing
Zemo dancing? But yeah, sure, fuck it.
Did
Who
you
cares?
see that
but
Marvel
also,
released an extended clip of the dance
oh, I saw it
for fan demand?
Yeah, but but it's like that does not seem like if I'd watched that does not look like seem like Zemo from Civil War. And you could say people change. There's a blip, X, Y, and Z, but they don't change. It's not good to change a character off screen. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, especially in a universe that demands continuity.
I guess the only part that some of that makes sense for me is that he's one of 3 villains almost that won. He won
for a minute. I mean, he
won for a few years. I mean, but indirectly, he divided the Avengers from the inside out for all the world to see.
Sure, but also indirectly, his actions caused, from how we understand it, his actions caused the Avengers to lose. How does he not know that? Because
of Iron Man and Cap not working together during
100%.
Infinity War.
That's the whole point of Infinity War and Endgame.
I don't buy that. That's what Tony says in Endgame, I don't buy it completely.
I do.
I don't think they would have done much better if they'd been in the same place.
That to me is the whole point of Avengers Endgame is that they're going to win because they're together.
But they didn't win until they brought the army in. In fact, they were going to lose when Thor, Iron Man, and Cap worked together just on Thanos. 3v1, they lost. I don't see it being any different. It wasn't until the circles opened up.
I'm not saying the Trinity versus Thanos. I'm not saying the Trinity versus Thanos. I'm saying the Trinity plus Spider-Man plus Guardians plus Doctor Strange.
But
that's the argument. You can't say that.
I don't think if Cap and Iron Man had not been in an argument, they would have been able to assemble that big of a force just as soon as Thanos showed up.
Yes, they would have. They did it at the beginning of Infinity War. The first 10 minutes is fucking Bruce Banner, Doctor Strange, and Benedict and Iron Man teaming up. That was within 10 minutes. That's what I'm saying.
But
and the Hulk was there.
That versus 500 people is a little different, even logistics wise.
But they didn't. But look, they didn't have to. In Infinity War, you're telling me that all the people, Vision, Scarlet. We're getting another conversation. Yeah. Vision, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Captain America, all these, you're telling me if all those people are not there right whenever, I can't think of his minions' names, but whenever they show up in New York,
Squidward.
you're telling me that you're telling me that, look, they did beat him and the other guys, but without Captain America and the Vision and Scarlet Witch, who are the most powerful people in the MCU.
But that's not Thanos. That's one of his minions, and that was just them sitting on an errand. I'm talking about end of Infinity War when Thanos shows up.
Scarlet Witch almost beat Thanos by herself.
Once she was enraged to the point because of her Vision died in front of her twice. She was not able to access that level of power pre that. Like, obviously, the grief. I mean, that's what WandaVision was about. That grief awakened a different level of power in her.
But you got to understand that
being used at that point.
The Thanos we get at the end of Infinity War is not comparable to the Thanos in the beginning because he has the Infinity Stones. But if you have the Avengers together in the beginning of Infinity War, he does not get the Infinity Stones. That's the difference.
You don't think they can beat Doctor Strange still? I mean, that's the only thing they're looking to accomplish at that point. It's just grabbing the Mind Stone or the.
But you also got to understand, Doctor Strange is captured, but alone with just Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange, they beat that one guy. They kill him. You know what I'm saying? That they kill him.
Who do they kill?
The guy who's the equivalent
space with the aliens.
That's just them three together.
The aliens plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I still don't think it's that cut and dry, but
it's not. But I think I think if you just argue that the movies aren't predicated on the idea that they would not have won if they were not together, is the opposite of what the movies are about.
If Thanos had all the Infinity Stones, they wouldn't. Thanos beat them in
yeah.
And he didn't have any Infinity Stones. He was fighting them with an empty gauntlet when he fought them on the field.
But he was only fighting 3 people. He wasn't fighting. He was also fighting a fat Thor. He wasn't fighting most powerful Thor. Well, granted, in defense, he had two hammers. He wasn't fighting Doctor Strange, Thor, and
I hear you.
And also in Infinity War, he had the Power Stone. He had the Power Stone. He had like 3 stones at that point when he's fighting all them, and they gave him a run for his. Not really. He did wipe the floor with them, but you gotta understand. Also, Doctor Strange did specific things so they would die to get them to Endgame.
Because they knew that was the only way to win. There was a single way. Theoretically, Zemo doing this was the only way to get to this point.
No, not necessarily. You got to understand that what Zemo does is independent of what Doctor Strange has to accommodate for the future. If Zemo doesn't do his things, Doctor Strange doesn't even get to a point where he has to sit there and to do multiple realities because the reality would have been different from the get-go.
I think that's an assumption. I think it's an assumption to think Thanos couldn't have beaten them all the first time, even if they'd all been together.
You're right. I don't think it's an assumption to say that the timeline would have been different if Zemo hadn't have done what he had done. I think that if the Avengers were together, then Doctor Strange on a planet looking through 14 million different universes would not have happened the way it happened.
Perhaps. Yeah, okay, I'll concede that.
Sorry, not to get
What were we talking about before?
We were talking about Baron Zemo being different from Civil War than he is from here.
And I do think, like I said, I think the fact that but regardless of how you wanted to call it, he feels like he won. He feels victorious. At the end,
he does.
Even when they revisit him in the show, he's kind of like, "What up, guys? I beat." He's like, still at this point of like, "Hey, listen, you got back together and beat Thanos, but I still did what I wanted to do." So
you're right. And here's the interesting thing about that is that you're bringing up a point that I think is kind of like the why about bringing him in here. Is that his actual goal now? Is that are we under the presumption that would he is still tracking that plot because of what we know about him in Civil War?
No, I feel like now it's all about more super soldiers. Just no more super soldiers. Period. Like I think he feels like he made his point to the Avengers, and now it's just like I don't want any more Avengers.
Yeah, but his point was mute whenever you have a Thanos come in and destroy the whole world because there are no Avengers to stop him. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I wonder if his. I think Thanos showing up was the ultimate justification of Tony trying to make Ultron. I mean, that his heart was in the right place. He just did it in the wrong way.
Not that I think Ultron could have done anything against Thanos either, though.
That's not the idea, but the idea is that his heart was in the right place. His mind was, his heart, whatever. But that's what I'm saying is like I think there might be more to Zemo than that. I think that
I do
if you're gonna bring him in, him having the same beat of I'm gonna do this is almost pointless because he already did it.
I think he definitely has a master plan in the works at this. I mean, I feel like we're seeing obvious signs of that in both of these episodes where he's asking, or like they're talking to him. They're at like even in episode 4, which we're not really to yet, but whatever we are. That moment with Sam where he's like, "What about Bucky?" And or even I love, and in fact, that's one of my favorite parts about Civil War or episode 4 is I feel like we get some of his ideology, which is that everyone that has ever been injected with the serum has turned into a supremacist, except for Steve Rogers. He is literally the only exception, and we've had 100 years of this, right? I think those are fair points. I think it makes sense that like if you give someone that doesn't have the character of Steve Rogers that amount of power and that amount of just kind of physical superiority to almost anyone, it's like I could see them becoming corrupted by that or feeling like they deserve a different level of power or respect or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think it's unfair. Kyle Walker is it Wyatt Walker? Is it?
It's Walker. It's Walker.
Walker. Yeah.
The actor is Wyatt Russell.
There it is. Yeah. Kyle Walker, I think, is like obviously, and the show is not being very cryptic about this. He's the example of that, right? Of someone that doesn't. Well, in general, yeah, he's not a bad guy, but he's not Steve Rogers. He's not selfless to a fault, which was almost selfless to a fault is almost how you would describe Steve Rogers. And you kind of have to have someone that like selfless to a fault to take on that power.
I think it's very interesting that he acknowledges the exception to the rule. I think it's a small but compelling beat. I will say this, that it's weird to just put his umbrage into super soldiers when you have Doctor Strange, who has shown nothing but compassion and the more strength than Steve Rogers could ever muster in his best day. You know what I'm saying? To just say that he's saying, oh, well, Steve Rogers is the exception to the rule of power. Doctor Strange is the ultimate example of power, and he's a great exception to the rule.
Yeah, but I feel like he's talking very specifically about a different. He's talking about super soldier serum, super soldiers. I feel like he's pretty dang. He's talking about taking normal human beings and amplifying all of their physical attributes. I think Doctor Strange is a different case. I mean, Doctor Strange, you're right. Like especially the person he was in the beginning of Doctor Strange, but at the same time, he has been revealed like almost every knowledge in the universe. Like, and I do believe. I mean, I think knowledge is one of the keys to becoming a better person. Understanding things better, I think, gives you more empathy and compassion.
That's the definition of a superhero origin is learning something about yourself that was uncomfortable and overcoming that. I mean, you can almost peg that with every character. Besides, the one that is the exception to that rule is Scarlet Witch, who's someone who is dealing with trauma and has caused pain in the process. Granted, all the superheroes have caused pain in processes, but look at Thor. He's someone who's arrogant, X, Y, and Z, and by the end of it, he has saved the universe 3-4 times over. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to say that superpowered people. His argument was, I think, invalid in Civil War. It was just he had a specific umbrage because his family died. I get it. Casualties are never good, but that goes back to Steve Rogers.
But he did tie it to the like no more super soldiers. I mean, like that the whole final battle, right? And they were thinking he was going to activate them, and he kills them all. Right.
He did, but his problem was that the Avengers themselves need to be torn apart, and they're all powered people. Sure. I don't think it's fair to limit his umbrage with just super soldiers. His umbrage is with people who are an enhanced period.
Yeah, I mean, except for the fact that he's talking specifically. He's talking about like these good, like people that have good intentions turn to supremacists when they get the serum. You know what I mean? Like he makes a pretty clear like he's talking about Carly, right? Morgenthau, and saying like, yeah, like she wants theoretical good things, or she's fighting for what she truly believes is right. She's still a supremacist. She's still taken power that is now puts her above everyone else that she interacts with, and she is using that power to get her way, right?
There's a version of this where I eat crow and his ultimate end game. His end game for the show or for his arc is he wants to not only depower Earth people, he wants to depower the universe people. To me, that would be the full resolution of his arc.
How would he do that?
That's not my problem. My problem with it is that he is looking at Earth as this is the thing right now. He wants to fix this part, but is he oblivious to the fact that there is X, Y, and Z out there that clearly want to stomp out? Or how can you compete with the Thanos if you don't have a Doctor Strange on planet?
Well, I mean, I think they address that in the episode, don't they? Isn't that what?
Tell me, I don't remember.
I feel like they said something like, what about Thanos? Like, we wouldn't have beat him without these kind of people or whatever. But maybe I'm making that up. But I thought that was something like him and Sam were talking about.
I hope he did. I don't remember that, but that to me, that's where his logic, and obviously he's the bad guy. His logic, everyone's logic is skewed, but that's where his whole argument falls apart for me, and that's why I'm having a hard time believing that that's what his actual his end game is, because I don't think it's logical anymore. I think being upset with your family death and wanting to tear them apart because of revenge, that's more likely to me than him. To me, his idea, no super soldiers, that is an antidote or antidote of he's actually just really upset that his fucking family died, and he's using that as an excuse to kill them all and tear them apart. That's what's really problem is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if that's the thing, that's interesting. And that's more, that's all supervillains. I'm doing this because of this, but it's really about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very heated this episode. Not towards you, but towards the ideas that the show is presenting to us. But I feel like we really got brought back with episode 4, which to me focused back on Walker and that dynamic, and really showing, we still have that Zemo part of it, but we have now Walker trying to, again, he's trying to do what's right, or at least what he thinks is right, which is, I guess, everybody, right? But you're definitely getting that dynamic. You're also getting the dynamic with Sam saying, hey, I want to talk to the Flag Smashers and see if I can pull them back from the brink of whatever. And he almost succeeds. Like, you can see a version where he's actually reaching her pretty well. Yeah. And then you see what John Walker's doing and his impatience, his X, Y, and Z. Do you think it was a little out of character for him to basically run in there after he's trying to talk to him? Like, does it make sense? Because
Wyatt, or talking about Kyle Walker running in there?
I'm talking about, do you think I felt like there was a moment where we're kind of starting to see his like at least his PTSD and stuff, but it feels like he seems smarter than I'm going to run in there.
No, it makes total sense to me, because this is also,
I'm okay with it. I'm saying
this is post Wakanda moment, right? Pretty positive. We've already seen the Dora Malaje. So this is all about his pride and ego to me. This is all about him.
No. Actually, no, I'm sorry. This is before the Wakandans show up. Yeah, okay. This is before. So he hasn't been whipped. His ass hasn't been whipped yet by people who are not even superpowered, which is definitely an important part to talk about. So basically, they give Barnes 8 hours to use Zemo before the Wakandans take him, and then they go to the funeral.
Yes.
And then at the funeral.
So the funeral is the first moment, but then he goes to her again after she calls his sister. So there's a second conversation with Sam.
Yes, you're right.
And Bucky. And that's when they actually are going to kill. They're like planning to kill Kyle Walker, kill Captain America.
I will say this. Zemo destroys the serum before Sam goes and talks, and he's already taken the serum at that point. So you could argue that the serum is fucking with him, and he's making irrational decisions. So that could be your argument there. Makes sense?
Well, I think the main tell, I think, of the serum is the shield going into the wall.
No, you're right. Which happens.
It's subtle. It's like they hold on the shot for it, but that's the only hint they give.
As soon as
he's
happened,
already powered.
I literally said he took the serum.
And of course later on he bends the pipe, and it's even like everyone knows. Like it's like but it's obvious. Like, to me, it makes total sense, because I think his ego has been crushed over and over again. All he feels is inadequate. He keeps kind of looking at Sam and Bucky are the established. They're in the Avengers already, right? Like they're part of the established superhero core.
The cool kid club.
he wants to be included, right? Exactly. Yeah. He wants to be taken as seriously as Steve Rogers, which is silly.
I think there's one thing to add in here real quick. I think that, granted, it's a reflection of how I'm seeing our own real life community respond to the show, but I think it would have been important to see real life people say, "You're not my Captain America."
And
in the show,
we might. I think in fact, I think this next episode will be that, almost like everyone saying, "Nah, you're not Cap."
You're right, but I think it would be, I think a little scene between a kid or something saying, "You're not Steve Rogers" or something like that would have been organic and led him to that. Resentful towards the past. Anyway,
but yeah,
that's hard to peg a year and a half ago or 2 years ago.
Sure.
Maybe,
but yeah, I mean, episode 4 I think is back to what makes this show good, but also kind of really eclipsing. I think maybe episode 4 is the best one we had.
I think it could be.
I think
possibly.
I really like Sam trying to convince Carly Morgenthau to stand down, and I think that makes him. It's showing him that why Steve Rogers really believed in him, like that he's a good man, and like that was always the most important part of being Cap, was being a good man, not being the best soldier. And I think that his willingness to put his own life at risk and all, like he's walking in there as not a super soldier to negotiate down a super soldier. He doesn't have his gear on when he's going to the funeral. You know what I mean? I think that illustrates why he deserves to be Cap. And I think and then inversely, this episode, it illustrates perfectly why Kyle Walker shouldn't be, obviously with the finale of the episode. But I even think I thought I liked the idea that he convinced Bucky to let them in, almost, of being like, your partner's in there and he has no backup. I think
he's not wrong. That's the thing, that he's not wrong. That's the interesting part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, there's even people out there that would say that I think that there's an argument to be made that would say, hey, him running in there because he's scared to lose them and he's scared to X, Y, and Z is a valid thing. It wasn't the right thing to do.
No,
but he didn't know that Sam was reaching her. You know what I'm saying? All he knows is that the Flag Smashers are terrorists. You know what I'm saying? And he has to, as a soldier who is not told to stand by, to sit there and stand by. And he's supposed to be leading this crew. He's been told he's supposed to lead this crew. It makes sense. I can't blame him for it. Yeah. I mean, and he's even justified after fucking battle. His buddy dies. He's justified by the links that these people will go against his own ideology. That granted, it potentially wouldn't have happened if he had to run in there. But it doesn't make what they're doing any less worse.
But that happens a little bit after that too. Like he doesn't die in that confrontation. He dies after the Dora Malaje fight.
You're right.
They go into one more battle, and that's when he gets killed.
You're right. I'm wrong. You're right.
No, but that's fine. But I think your point still stands. I think the biggest difference with him and Steve Rogers is the ego. Steve Rogers had no ego.
Well, it all boils down to probably the best scene in one of the best scenes in the MCU, and maybe the best scene in Captain America: The First Avenger. It's the day before the procedure, and Erkenstein is sitting there, and he's telling him, you have to be a good man.
Yeah, exactly.
And whatever's inside is amplified. Red Skull took this. He was already bad, and it made him worse.
Yeah,
and Steve Rogers was a pretty fucking good dude before he took that. Took the serum.
Well, I think that's the difference. Steve Rogers was a good man. Kyle Walker's a good soldier.
Exactly, that's the difference.
Soldiers are sometimes do bad things and are still a good soldier, right? Like and
they're expected to do bad things to be a good soldier. Yes,
exactly. And I think that was great that they reference. I really enjoyed that conversation between him and Tompkins. Is it Tompkins? Am I saying is that right? That's Battlestar.
His buddy. I hope.
Yeah,
so.
I think it says Tompkins on his.
It rhymes with Thompson. I hope it's
Hoskins. Sorry, Hoskins. Oh, Tompkins. Yeah, Hoskins. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not. But they have that conversation about do you remember what we got those medals for? and this allusion to this like very
Great
obviously gray area, not morally dubious situation, basically, is what is alluding to. And honestly, what I like is that it alludes. I mean, it alludes to real war, like real world war, where
it's a
there's
perfect commentary.
There's no clear good guys and bad guys. It's just two people that want something, two different and they're willing to kill for it. And the good and the bad is somewhere in between, but neither one of them hold the flag for that, right? Like that's modern day war. And I think they do a good job of referencing that. And also it's like that moment where like, would you take it if you could? He's like, hell yeah. Like think of the people we could have saved. And it's like, I think it reinforces that idea that Zemo's already voiced in this episode, which is like, it doesn't matter what their intentions were. They intended it for good, but this serum amplifies everything in them. So to the point that their bad qualities they'll always revert to their core character, basically. And I think that scene, is amazing. I also want to highlight the first scene between Sam and Carly, where he's talking to her about, you killed these people. And she's like, I'd do it again. And he's like, sounds kind of like a dictator. And she's like, no, you tricked me. You tricked me into saying, like, I liked, that was all brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that shows Sam's kind of ability to kind of be this kind of almost like, he's able to challenge things without feeling like he's aggressing them or something. I don't know. It was all brilliant.
No,
I think those two conversations like really added a lot of depth to this episode. I think
you're 100% right. I think that the ability for you and me, and granted, maybe we're just too fucking smart, but the ability for you and me to extrapolate these ideas,
we are too fucking smart. It's illegal how smart we are.
The ability that we are to extrapolate these ideas this is what the filmmakers are intending, and they're very smart and nuanced and complicated things. I think the conversation between Hoskins and Walker about the medals is a perfect commentary on public perception, soldier PTSD, government expectations, and then on top of that and just in general tribalism and war. You know what I mean? Like it is, it's very complicated.
Yeah. Well, and I know like in the comics, the US government is often the bad guys, right? I mean,
I think in literature and entertainment, the US government are the bad guys a lot in the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Especially since Vietnam.
Exactly.
Vietnam happened like, oh wait, these guys kind of fuck up shit.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's a direct comparison I think there's numerous examples throughout history, but I think Vietnam was one of the first times we really at least documented the fact that there was U.S. soldiers, going in. And I mean, I'll say this. I like have
war crimes.
I had an uncle who was a sniper in Vietnam. He passed away many years ago, but I remember him saying he would snipe out a village, right? Yeah. Like he was watching it, the Viet Cong. American soldiers would go in there before the Viet Cong family would go out. They'd go in there and rape the women, and then take and kill some of the people and put their entrails on trees, bring back in the natives that are on our side and rile them up to fight the Viet Cong. Yeah,
right.
That's dark.
No, yeah, it's dark. It's dark, fucked up shit is what it is.
That's as bad as it gets. You know what I'm saying?
And I like we've had hints of that so far in the MCU. Like the Sokovia Accords moment is obvious, and obviously, I mean, Hulk's whole journey is against the U.S. government. If we're still acknowledging the Edward Norton film, which I still like.
We have to acknowledge General Ross and Tony Stark are
that's true.
Continued
and
on.
I still think that I really like that as a Hulk movie. I know some people complain, but I like the restraint used.
I challenge anyone to tell me it's a bad Hulk movie. I don't know why you would think that.
Dumbasses. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's great.
But all that to say is it feels like though with this, I mean, especially bringing in the race dynamic, that scene in episode 2 with the cops, right? Outside of Isaiah Walker or Isaiah Bradley's house. Yes. Right? Like these little things where they're like, there's been a bit of idealism in the MCU up to this point. At times, obviously, like with Ross and even us in Hydra, right? There's been moments where like, oh yeah, the institutions are bad and we have to fight them, right? But this feels like we're really digging into like the dirt, like you said, like the dark, dirty stuff that's real. And even them just referencing whatever they did or had to do in, I think they said Afghanistan even. I think it's huge for that. And I think this show kind of has to change how the MCU operates with some of these things. I think if this show's going to be, I feel like it'd be cheap, almost a disservice to what the show is doing if we don't continue operating with some of these ideas or continue the through line of the social dynamics we're starting to see in this show that have been introduced.
I don't think it would be unfair for them to get more broader in the films because they have less time, but I do see your point where, I mean, you got to keep in mind that the characters we're with are all ground level, typically more human than not characters, so that gives them the ability to talk more about human things. I don't expect Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings to talk about racism. You know what I'm saying? And I can't. Well,
if it does, it's going to be a different context.
Sure. Even then, I don't expect them to do that. I don't expect, in the Eternals to talk about human social dynamic because they're Eternals. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I think more in the team. I mean, even in the way that Ross was around in Endgame. You know what I mean? Infinity War. Excuse me. They have to keep acknowledging that this world has these fucked up things that our world does too. Because up to this point, we haven't really been sure about some of these things. Does this exist like that here? Well,
I think I never questioned that. I always felt that this was our exact timeline, except for the superpowered beings inserted in moments of history.
Sure.
I don't think there's been any indication that Nintendo didn't come out in 1985. You know what I'm saying? Like the same time it did then. Sure. You know what I'm saying? There's no implication that we're in a different Earth.
But they also can be choosy about what they represent in the movies and the shows. And
but it's also because they have a certain amment of time. That's what it boils down to.
That's fair.
But
we should
I think you're right. I think you're right. That they have to do certain things to acknowledge going forward. But I will say this, just even us talking about it, we've talked about probably 7 or 8 different themes and plot beats over the last 2 episodes. I think that the show, one thing that the show is fumbling with, it has a lot of things it wants to say. And we're talking about we're talking about the implications of superheroes as a whole. We're talking about racism. We're talking about what it means to hold power. And granted, they all kind of connect in a way, but I haven't seen a scene about racism, not really, except for since episode 2 and 1. And now we're on episode 3 and 4.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't see Walker in episode 3, which was kind of, granted, I get it. We're taking moments to expand character.
I think he was there right at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though? There wasn't a scene like in episode 4 and episode 3 that paints, you know what I'm saying? They're really jumping around a lot, and I think it's hurting them a little bit. Overall, it's hurting them.
They have 2, like you said, narrative plot kind of lines. One is the Captain America, who is Captain America, who deserves to be Captain America, and then the other one is Zemo and the Super Soldiers and the other
one's racism,
Flag Smashers. I think racism is more integrated into the Captain America plot because it's all about America wanted another white cap. I feel like is kind of the impression.
We haven't, other than how Sam and Bucky feel about it, we don't have any implication of how the world feels about getting another white cap. You can say that.
I don't think, but I'm not feeling about that. I'm feeling more like this is what the government wanted. It does feel like they wanted another Steve Rogers photocopy in all the ways. And white cap is easier to market than black cap.
I agree, but we haven't had a scene that shows that. We can infer all day that that's what's happening. But I think it's more interesting to see that conversation. If that's
I'm not sure you need to spell that out, though. I feel like that's something that can be inferred and can be kind of a more subtle plot line.
I think that Sam should say it then. I don't think that I'm not saying nuance is out the door. I'm just saying that
I still think that might happen. That might be addressed full on at the end.
They should. Granted, we have 2 episodes left. I mean,
and Isaiah Bradley, obviously, that's another key part of that dynamic is the Black Captain America. I still hope he kind of shows up to help fight something at the end. That would be amazing.
I would have loved it if they had carried that thread through episode 3 and 4, but now that they haven't, I think it's unrealistic that he shows up. I don't think you have enough screen time. You know what I'm saying?
He
to bring him
might
back.
make an appearance, but I think it's less likely that he fights. I can
I
see
think that he
Sam
could-
showing up and seeing him once he's Cap again.
I was gonna say
Okay.
I can see him watching TV and then Sam Wilson being revealed, or not even revealed. He announces he's the new Captain America, and then you see Isaiah's reaction. I can see that
Sure.
happening.
Yeah. Well, and we know his grandson or whatever is supposed to be eventually a
Patriot,
the Patriot, right?
Yeah. And maybe
no,
he sees him. I think that's also valuable. Maybe he's like, Grandpa, come look at the TV, and he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he looks at it, and it shows that he's inspired to become a hero
Yes.
because there's a black Captain America,
Yes.
which is
yes.
kind of the whole point. You know,
I agree.
representation and inspiring people of your own
Yeah.
representation. And abroad.
So I do want to touch on one more thing in this episode before we get to the end shot, because I think
Sure.
we need to spend a couple minutes on that. But
Yeah.
I do want to bring up the Dora Malaje because fuck, man, that was so fun and such a
Good.
bad. Like I think every time, I think the MCU has done this marvelous job of representing Wakanda as this like superior country in every way. Like it's basically like we're better fighters, we have more technology, we have more money. You can't fuck with us. Right, like I mean, obviously that the Dora Malaje have jurisdiction wherever the Dora Malaje find themselves to be, and it's just like, fuck, man. Like, and they can't. I love the whole like, man, like Walker, just give it. Like, you're not gonna win this one. Just give it a break. Don't fight them. And like Sam, and even like then kind of commenting when he's getting his ass whipped at first for like feeling strong, like what Sam says to him, or Bucky. I mean, and then I do like that they stepped it, though that may be the most puzzling part when like the Dora Malaje were about to like try and kill them. I was like, that seems harsh. that seems a bit extreme to come. I mean, that's when Sam and Bucky even step in, is when they're like catching the spear when it's about to like go into his chest or something. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. I mean, like I know you feel disrespected by this person, but really you want Zemo anyway. Like you're not here for them. You're here for Zemo.
It kind of tracks a little bit with that same girl is in Civil War, and she basically, granted, it's again complicated with continuity. I'm fixing to bring that up, but
sure.
Natasha is in front of T'Challa, and she's like, "You better move. Or I'm going to make you move." You know, there's definitely this.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely this. You know, at least with the Dora Malaje,
they don't other people.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be frank about it. They don't, and I think that's a fair. I think it's a fair thing to say based on everything. At least the Dora Malaje have shown us they're very loyal to their own, and they have an agenda, and they don't care who you are to achieve that agenda.
Sure,
and they are about, I think, definitely disrespect and everything else. I mean, it
feels like they're like the Wakandan hit squad. Like they're the Wakandan elite squad. Like they're the elite SWAT team you send in. Like they're SEAL Team 6. But
they're not only protecting their people, they're and almost even more importantly, they're protecting their culture, and they're willing to.
Yeah, they're willing to say like this person murdered our king. We cannot allow him to be free.
Well, even that they're saying this person disrespected us, and we can't allow that either. In terms of John Walker, you know. I mean, they gave him a chance. You can't give him that. They gave him a chance, and they're like, well, now we're going to spank your ass a little. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's more of a strict parent than anything.
Yeah, and obviously you get that great moment where John is picking himself up in pity and says they weren't even super soldiers, right? Like
John, we knew that 4 episodes ago, buddy.
Yeah, John, and I think it's also fair that they like. I also like when he zaps Bucky's arm and it just falls off, and he's like, "What the fuck, man?" Like he just gives that look like.
Well, really? There's an interesting thing there. We have a great scene where she is teaching him to get over the code names, the Russian code names, but then it shows that she helped him through that. That scene with the arm thing also implies that she thought he might relapse or that he might be used for bad. If there's a defense mechanism to get his arm off,
but it was a temporary. I would agree with that if it wasn't just be able to pop back on.
I'm saying that it could be an implication. I think it tracks. I think. If you want to get pessimistic about it, to say that there's a thing where that the Wakandans who put it on him know how to take it off in a combat way. Yeah, it sounds like they're making contingencies for whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, and if that creates doubt, in my opinion, in his head, at least maybe 1%, it still creates it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I still feel like we have to get to some other kind of final resolution with that with Bucky. Like that's kind of Bucky's personal goal and journey is him.
yeah,
For one, kind of making amends for the people he killed in episode 1, but also like obviously truly believing honestly that he's free from the Winter Soldier programming. I think it's such
there's a
huge...
lot of we're talking this whole time. I've like, forgot Bucky's a character that has an arc.
yeah. There's a lot of intertwining arcs here, and I do think they're gonna have to stick the landing. And
they have to.
And I worry that some of these arcs may get the shorts into the stick. You know what I mean? Where they, I honestly feel like we're gonna have a great finale for the whole Sam is Cap. I feel like we're gonna have that badass moment where he finally picks up the shield and fucks people up, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, that's my Cap." We're gonna get that with him. I think 100%. This whole show is building to that. Yeah, like that's the that's the core of it. But like you said, we've also got this whole Zemo arc, which who knows? I mean, the Dora Malaje took him, right? Or did he? No, he escaped. He escaped. That's right. He escaped out the bathroom. That's right. He went into that sewer.
Classic Zemo. Right. Him in his bathrooms, man. He kills people leaves bodies in the bathroom.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
The bathroom brawler. That's what they call him.
The bathroom bandit. That's what he is.
That's his name in the comics. You can check. But all that to say is, these final 2 episodes, and it definitely feels like we're similar to WandaVision in my expectations, where next episode's going to be primarily setting up the finale.
And that's
I'm sure
classic.
we will get good, there'll be some fun moments. And I mean, it looks from, I guess preface this with, if you don't want to watch any of the trailers or any of the previews, maybe stop now. But in the most recent preview, which I watched, you watched as well, it very much looks like we're getting at least some of the Cap or Bucky and Sam versus Walker. Basically them saying, you've crossed the line. We have to take the shield. Like it's our duty to remove that from your possession almost. And that,
which is pretty cool.
Sounds fucking awesome. Yeah. And again,
I mean, the first frame we ever saw at the Super Bowl trailer, 2 years ago now, or a year ago, was Sam throwing the shield and practicing with the shield. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, which I think we already saw him do that in the beginning, right? Didn't he practice? No, he didn't.
No, the beginning he gives the shield up. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I thought he threw it once or something. Maybe not.
No, we haven't seen that yet. So that's a scene that hasn't happened. So obviously we know he gets it back. But I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of things going on. We have to figure out what Zemo or what's his end game.
What's his finale?
Who is the power
flag
broker?
Smasher stuff going on?
What's the flag smasher? Cat versus honestly, who's the main bad guy right now?
Who the fuck's Sharon Carter?
Who's the main bad guy right now?
I would say Walker.
He hasn't done anything that bad other than kill a terrorist yet.
I think
it's pretty bad, but I'm saying you know what I'm saying?
I feel like he's the main antagonist to the protagonist though.
How? He's not stopping the protagonist.
You can antagonize people without trying to kill them, I think.
I know, but
he's the foil to what they're trying to accomplish. He's the one getting in the way. He's the one causing problems. He's the one.
But their goal is right now kind of the same. They're just going about it differently. He's not the antagonist yet. I think they're both trying to stop the flag smashers. Yeah. But you could say the flag smashers are the antagonists.
Sure. I mean, they're the prototype antagonists where they're literally hurting people. They are forcing people to team up and stop them.
But you know what's interesting? They're not actively going after Sam and them. They're doing their own agenda. You don't have anyone that's going after Sam and Bucky right now. That's where it's also kind of getting weird. Yeah, you're right. That's what I think. I think this next episode is going to set up finally who is our bad guy? Who is the person that we have to stop? You know what I'm saying? So
maybe we'll finally get the and I even saw an article, which I'm already a little mad at the title. It was like, well, the big power broker cameo is next week or something. And now I'm thinking fuck, who's the cameo gonna be? God damn it. Hope it's satisfying is all I'm hoping. Just not fucking Sharon Carter. All that to say is,
who else can it be? You know,
and another big thing that what happens to Kyle? Is it John Walker or Kyle Walker?
John Walker.
John Walker. Goddamn. What happens to John Walker after this? Who does he become? Who does he? I mean, obviously in the comics he becomes what, U.S. agent, I think, and that definitely seems possible. I also think there's a possibility they could go a different direction with him in the MCU. I don't know. They've made some character taking characters in some different directions at times. I mean, it feels like he's headed to be some kind of anti-hero villain almost. You know what I mean? Like just in his general direction of his character progressing.
I don't know if
maybe he gets humbled. Maybe he gets brought, maybe he comes to Jesus when Sam and Bucky fuck him up. But
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think that I think he's definitely the physical threat for the end of the show. 100%.
He will be I say that he'll be the final battle, but at the same time, the previews feel like we're getting that battle next week. And so maybe not. Maybe he's the mini boss before we get to the power broker in episode 6.
Well, it's okay to tussle before you do the final battle. I think it's almost required in most movies. But I will say this, that what's interesting is that, granted, we see him, which we're talking about this last shot now, he uses the shield, which I'll say this, I watched Civil War, and because of what Travis shared with us, was that you see
parallel image.
Yeah, Steve Rogers having the same exact motion, everything towards Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and
the moment's happening literally right behind you, by the way.
Is it really? Cool.
Like we're about to see the shield.
Perfect.
With blood on it. It's great.
Yeah, so we have him do that, but he does it in a way that doesn't kill Tony. He just, he
disables him.
Exactly. We have Walker, who's using it in rage. We've never seen Captain America, Steve Rogers, do something out of rage.
No.
We've always seen him do something out of trying to save somebody.
Yes.
Now, granted, Captain America has killed people. Captain America has used guns.
Yes, but
and it's
too. Sure.
Yeah, he has. And that's what I'm saying. And they've acknowledged like it's a different time, X, Y, and Z. But I don't think Captain America he's never killed somebody if he didn't have to.
He always tries to spare. I mean, he's always going to be one that will. I mean, Winter Soldier's a great example. He's even willing to die instead of defending himself because he doesn't want to hurt his friend. Like that's the ultimate example of him being, and I think the Winter Soldier is still one of the best movies in the MCU still today.
Even in Civil War, he's trying to dismantle the German soldiers instead of kill them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to kill Bucky and he's just basically knocking him. He's even getting onto Bucky in the process saying, hey man, say, dude, come on,
Or he says something like, you're going to hurt somebody. And then Bucky's like, no, I'm not. Like Bucky it's kind of that moment where you're like, wait, is Bucky, is he hurting people? Is he not? And he's like, no, I won't hurt people. I'm doing it like you too, almost.
Well, I'll say this too, is that what's interesting, you see the shield with the blood, right? You see all that. And you think, oh man, this guy is off the deep end. It's horrific. He's a bad guy now. Let's be honest. He killed somebody that is a terrorist. Like if
but he killed them, they were defenseless. I'm
not arguing against that. I'm saying I'm saying here's what's interesting. What if he goes back and the U.S. government's like, no, he killed a terrorist. Like, what if you start, look at this, look at the world right now. We're divided.
I think that's possible.
You could have even the United States and the MCU, half of them are with John Walker and half of them are with Sam Wilson, which would be representation of where we're at right now.
Yep.
I mean, I guarantee you, if you showed a clip of that in the real world, there would be probably at least 30 to 50% of Americans that would say, I don't blame him for doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You had the other 50% saying it was horrible. That's where it gets interesting. I don't know if they'll make Walker a bad guy or not. They may make him a representation of a different side of America.
Yeah. I still think there's a possibility that Walker gives the Sam the shield.
It's very possible.
Volunteers and gives it up. I think that's this next episode. Obviously, I think we'll set that up one way or another. And I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things going on. And it definitely is like the final 2 episodes promise a lot of resolution, of action, of reveals. I mean, like we're in for an action-packed final 2 episodes for sure.
I will say this. One thing that we're getting in the trap of is this, the last thing I'll say is that right now we're in the expectation that we're going to get all the answers by the end of these next 2 episodes because we are used to getting the answers in a 2-hour format with movies because that's what we've been given. We were shown with WandaVision that we're not going to get all the answers.
Yeah.
Is that gonna hurt this show? They've said that there's no season 2.
But you got to think there's going to be another. I mean, there's been rumors about Captain America movies still, or like how would they do Captain America? Will they give like a Bucky Sam Cap movie?
Yeah.
And I think I there's going to be loose ends because they want those loose ends to tie. I mean, they're going to have something to reference in Loki or even Black Widow, right? That is going to somehow rope into this in a way that feels cool. So I definitely expect some sort of like the main, Sam will have the shield. He'll be Cap, whether the government has recognized it or not. He's going to be Cap. He's going to be the MCU's Cap. Who knows? Maybe fucking Nick Fury makes an appearance, and solidifies it in some way. Like, I don't know. But he will be Cap. John Walker won't. And John Walker, I think John Walker is a potential loose end that is left kind of.
I think he will be. He's
kind of defeated and sullen and kind of, just in a state of kind of just retreat or I fucking suck kind of thing. And who knows, I could see us, getting one of those like classic end scenes where someone fucking Ross walks in or something and is like, well, son, we've got ideas for you or something like that. You know what 100%. I mean? Or that kind of thing.
It's foolish to think that the United States government is going to tell Walker that he can't be a soldier for them.
No, yeah, they're still going to want to use him.
Yeah, he did. Again, in any classical sense, he didn't do anything wrong in the eyes of probably higher up U.S. government officials,
other than doing it in public and on display. I mean, like that would be their issue, probably.
Sure, but that would probably
just
be like
PR,
Sure, but even then, or do they really care? They're probably saying, "Fuck, we have to fix this now." You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think if he becomes U.S. agent, he will be kind of an anti-hero, like kind of a guy that sometimes they're working with and sometimes they're working against. Like sometimes he's helpful, sometimes he's a pain in the ass kind of thing. I think he's still going to be kind of the good soldier. He's the government's secret. The government. They always wanted Captain America work for them, to do what they wanted, and he's that because he's already the good soldier. Now he just has that stuff. So I think he's around. I think he sticks around. I like it. Wyatt Russell is killing it. I will say he is killing it, and he is nailing the like insecure wannabe Cap.
Yeah,
I think he's nailing it. Yeah, all that say, I mean that final shot. I mean that the blood on the shield. I mean that's iconic now, right? Like that is always going to be iconic in the MCU. It's a great shot, great way they did it with him kind of realizing everyone's watching him and looking around, and like it was great. And I think, yeah. I'm excited to see where we end up.
It is a bad time to be John Walker right now. I'll say that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
No, I'm excited too. Daniel, how can our listeners write into us?
You can write into bit.ly/241mail. There, I would love to know if you have any theories. Who the fuck is the power broker? And why isn't it Sharon Carter? That's the first question. And where else do you see this leading? Will John Walker end up being an anti-hero? Will he end up being an Avenger? Maybe he fully, kind of changes his perspective. Who knows? Where does Bucky end up? Because I think that's still a big question of like, does he just beat the programming completely? It's never an issue again, or what are they going to do with him? It feels like there's something else, some kind of resolution he's heading for, but to me, it's a little unclear. Let us know. bit.ly/241mail and write into us. We'd love to hear from you.
And of course, again, go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/241studios. Check out all the cool content. Subscribe and leave us comments there if you can't hit up our Bitly. Say this, next episode for Falcon Winter Soldier, we will be
in 2 weeks.
bringing in 2 weeks. We'll be bringing in Joel Williams back to wrap up this little series we've been doing. And then I think the next episode that we'll be releasing, don't hold me to it, you never know, is we're going to talk season 1 of Invincible with our good friend Travis Moser.
Yeah, and that should be dropping hopefully this Friday. We're right now planning on recording it on Friday. We're going to all watch the night before when it drops at like 10 or 11. Which I actually haven't seen episode 5 yet. So that's I'm good, actually, dude. And I'm kind of like, do I want to like wait and watch it like right before and lead into the final episode? I might do that because at this point it's like what tomorrow, right?
It's
so
tomorrow,
I'm like,
right.
might as well wait and just watch it back to back. And like, I watched the first four. In fact, the first four, like I started watching them the night the fourth one released. So by the time I finished, I was like, oh, there's another one. Sweet.
There you go.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about Invincible. Really.
Me
fun
too.
show.
I didn't think we would. And I'm glad that we have internally outside of this have been watching it and discussing it. And then like, you know what? We should talk about it. It's been a fun discovery. I'll say that.
And if you haven't watched it yet, it's on Amazon Prime. If you liked The Boys, if you enjoy kind of a deconstruction of the superhero genre or just a superhero take that is dark and violent, and this is a great one. The cast is phenomenal. I mean, like it's just every time you're like, holy fuck, he's in this now? Holy fuck, he's in this now? And I think it's almost like one of those, like, this show might not have happened if it weren't for a pandemic and all these actors are stuck at home. And one of the only things they can do is voice acting reasonably, right, at home. And so I do feel like this is probably like, hey, Mahershala Ali, are you just chilling at home like us? You want to be on a comic book TV show real quick? Just, like that kind of stuff. Or Zachary Quinto. Like these. And even fucking Stephen Yeun, who's in Shang-Chi, right? Is he Shang-Chi? Or is that
he's in The Walking Dead?
Yeah, but I thought he just had the guy that plays Invincible. I thought he just gotten.
No, he's not. He's not Shang-Chi.
No, but he's in Minari. That's what he's relevant.
Yeah,
for.
He's in Minari, which takes place in Arkansas.
Yeah, he directed and starred in Minari, which he apparently grew up in Arkansas, which is
wild. Wild.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I
misspoke. He didn't grow up in Arkansas.
My last thing about the Invincible was a little tease. Yes, if you like The Boys, if you like a deconstruction, but they do it in a way that feels like a traditional, hopeful comic book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it feels like it's a Superman story sometimes.
It's a marriage of The Boys, but like comic books. You know what I'm saying? Like in a fun way that I can get behind.
I like it more than The Boys because to me it's a bit more optimistic. It's a bit
exactly.
It definitely shows the darker side and the grim and like the hey, everything isn't. In some ways, it emulates The Boys and being like, hey, everything isn't peachy and like there's complicated characters and there's good guys sometimes doing bad things and all this kind of stuff. But it kind of has a general optimism about the world that you watch The Boys and you're like, everybody's fucked, right? Because there's no way everyone's not fucked in The Boys. Like, I think
to add one more thing, I think it's the best Peter Parker Spider-Man content that's not Peter Parker Spider-Man content that we've gotten in a long time.
He's definitely a new. He's the Peter Parker of Superman style superheroes.
100%.
And yeah, anyway. So check out that show and join with us, on Friday.
Yeah.
Hear our opinion.
Right. Daniel, I'm glad we talked about it. I'm excited for the next couple episodes.
Hell yeah.
And as always, my name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
And we have spoken.